38 years of living had given Mark Calloway the posture of a man who had learned to take up less space. He stood at the folding table near the gymnasium's east wall, a paper cup of warm ginger ale in his hand, watching his former classmates move through the room like they owned it. The banners overhead, maroon and gold, Eastbrook High class of 2005, had faded to the color of old bruises. In his jacket pocket was a check for $2,400, made out to Jason Merritt, drawn from an account Mark had kept open 3 years for this purpose. The DJ was playing something that had been a slow dance once. Mark drifted along the gymnasium's perimeter, past clusters of people who had grown thicker around the middle, or thinner in the temples. He recognized faces the way you recognize a song after the first 4 notes. Not instant, but inevitable. He was looking for one face in particular, Jason Merritt. They had not spoken in 4 years, not since a phone call that ended with someone hanging up before the apology arrived. Mark had told himself, tonight would be different. He found Jason near the trophy case on the far wall. Jason Merritt at 39 looked like a man performing the idea of confidence. The broad shoulders, the easy laugh, the navy blazer with the sleeves pushed up exactly 1 fold. His hair had gone silver at the temples, which made him look authoritative rather than older. Mark watched him work the small group around him the way he always had, gesturing with both hands, pulling people into his orbit. Mark was 6 feet away when he heard his own name. He stopped behind a pillar wrapped in crepe paper, his paper cup still in his hand. Jason's voice carried the way it always had, built for rooms, built to be heard. The words arrived in pieces, then all at once, that Mark had never figured it out, that he was still bouncing between jobs, that some people just plateau. The group laughed, a short, polite sound. Mark did not move for 11 seconds. He walked away from the pillar, the way you walk away from a car accident. Slowly at first, then faster, then with purpose. He set his paper cup on the nearest table without looking. The music had shifted to something with a faster tempo, and the floor had filled with people who were happy, or doing a convincing impression of it. Mark moved against the current of them, toward the folding chairs stacked against the back wall, toward the part of the room where the lights did not quite reach. He found a folding chair beside a stack of equipment cases and sat. The gymnasium smelled like industrial floor wax and someone's too sweet cologne. From here, the reunion looked like a film he had already seen. The same table near the bleachers where the lacrosse guys always sat, now occupied by men with the same posture and softer jaws, the same girls who had run the student council, standing in the same tight circle, just with better shoes. Jason's voice was still in his head, clear and casual and devastating. Mark pulled out his phone. On the screen was a draft text to Jason he had written 3 days ago and never sent. "Hey, coming to the reunion Friday. Thought maybe we could talk." He read it once, then deleted it. He pressed the heel of his hand against his knee and held it there. He had driven 41 miles for this. The cardboard box sat on a folding table 2 feet to his left, labeled in black marker, Eastbrook 2003-2006. Take 1. Someone had arranged the yearbooks by year, spines facing out. Mark looked at them the way you look at something you already know is going to cost you. He reached for the 2005 edition, their senior year, and pulled it free. The cover was a photograph of the gymnasium itself, taken from the bleachers, full of people who did not yet know what was coming. He opened it to the signatures page near the back. Most of the messages were the standard currency of 18-year-olds. Stay cool, great knowing you, call me sometime. Then he found Jason's entry, written in the tight left-leaning print he recognized without thinking. It read, "Mark, you're the only person I've met who actually means what he says. Don't let this place make you smaller. I'm serious." The ink had faded to the color of old rust, but the words held. Mark read the inscription twice, then a third time. The handwriting had not changed in 20 years. Still that same compressed urgency, like Jason was always running out of room on the page. Don't let this place make you smaller. He flipped back to the photo section, And there they were. Junior year, the science fair table, Jason with his arm around Mark's shoulder, both of them laughing at something just outside the frame. Mark looked at that photograph for a long time. Then he looked toward the trophy case across the gymnasium. He closed the yearbook and set it flat on his knee. He could leave. The exit was 30 feet to his right, past the equipment cases and the fire door with the push bar. He had parked on the street facing out, an old habit, and he could be on the I-20 ramp inside of 4 minutes. That was one option. The other was Jason Merritt, still working the room near the trophy case, still wearing that blazer, still performing the version of himself that required an audience. Mark looked at the exit. He looked at the yearbook. He did not rehearse what he was going to say. Every time he shaped a sentence in his head, it came out either too wounded or too controlled, and neither version was the truth. The gymnasium floor was sticky in patches from spilled drinks. The DJ had switched to a playlist that seemed designed to remind everyone of a specific Friday night they could not quite place. Mark moved through the crowd with the yearbook under his arm, jaw set, eyes fixed on the back of Jason's navy blazer. Jason turned before Mark reached him, as if he had felt the approach. For a half second, something moved across his face. Not guilt exactly, but a rearrangement. Then the smile came, the practiced one, 3 degrees warmer than the situation required. He said Mark's name like it was a pleasant surprise. Mark said his. They shook hands. The grip was firm on both sides, and held a half second too long, the way a handshake does, when it is doing the work that words have not started yet. They talked about the drive-in, about the DJ's song choices, about the way the gymnasium looked smaller now than it had when they were 17. Jason asked about Mark's work, the consulting contract he had picked up in the fall, and Mark answered in the clipped shorthand of a man who had learned to summarize himself quickly. Jason nodded with the particular energy of someone who is listening and also thinking about something else entirely. Mark noticed that Jason had not touched the drink in his hand in several minutes. Mark set the yearbook on the edge of the trophy case between them, cover up. He did not open it. He left it there the way you leave a key on a table when you want someone to notice it without asking. He told Jason he had found it in the box near the back wall. He told Jason he had read the inscription. He watched Jason's eyes go to the yearbook, hold there for 3 full seconds, then come back up. The practiced smile had not moved. Mark told Jason what he had heard near the pillar. He said it plainly, without the theatrical pause he had imagined on the walk across the gymnasium floor. He named the words, plateau, never figured it out. He watched Jason's face cycle through several versions of itself, the denial forming, stopping, then something rawer taking its place. Jason set his drink on the trophy case. His voice, when it came, had lost the room-filling quality entirely. He said he had lost his position at Hargrove & Associates in February. He said the consulting work had dried up. He said he had been telling people he was between opportunities for 8 months. Mark reached into his jacket pocket and set the check on the trophy case beside the yearbook. $2,400. He had written Jason's name on it 3 days ago. He said, "This is what I owe you from the Millbrook project. I should have sent it years ago." He said nothing else. He left the check on the case and waited. Jason did not look at the yearbook. He looked at the trophy case glass, at his own reflection in it, the kind of thing a person does when they cannot look at the person they are talking to. He had been at Hargrove for 11 years. He said the number like it was a sentence. The mortgage on the house in Decatur was current, barely. His wife knew the broad shape of the situation but not the specific numbers. He had come to the reunion because he needed to be somewhere that still held a version of him that had worked out. Mark opened the yearbook to the signatures page and found the inscription without searching. He had already memorized the page number. He turned it so Jason could read his own words. "Don't let this place make you smaller." Jason read it with the stillness of a man recognizing something he had written and then completely forgotten and then needed badly. He pressed 2 fingers against the page, not quite touching the ink, the way you touch something that might not survive contact. Mark told him about the phone call. The one in November 4 years back, when Mark had called to say he was leaving the firm, and Jason had gone quiet, in a way that felt like judgment. Mark had spent 4 years deciding that the silence meant Jason had written him off. He said this without drama, the way you state a fact about weather. He said he had driven 41 miles tonight because he thought maybe the silence had meant something else, and he needed to find out which one it was. Jason turned away from the trophy case glass and looked at Mark directly for the first time since the conversation had become real. He said the silence on that call had not been judgment. He said he had been sitting in his car in the Hargrove parking garage when the call came in, having just been told his division was under review. He had not known how to say that. He had not known how to be the one who was also struggling when Mark was calling to announce he was walking away from something stable. So he said nothing. Then he hung up. Neither of them spoke for a moment. The DJ had moved into a run of mid-2000s ballads, and the gymnasium had thinned out. Couples on the floor, clusters at the tables, a few people near the exit already checking their phones. The trophy case held trophies from seasons that had ended before either of them arrived at Eastbrook. Mark looked at the check still sitting on the case. Jason reached over and picked up the yearbook, turned it toward himself, and paged slowly through the photo section without being asked. Mark closed the yearbook and tucked it under his arm. He had not asked if he could take it. The box had said "take one," and he decided that applied. Jason watched him without comment. The DJ announced last song of the evening, and a sound went up from the floor, the particular groan of people who are not ready for the night to end or the bill to arrive. They walked toward the exit side by side, not quite in step. Jason had left his blazer on a chair somewhere and did not go back for it. The gymnasium was doing what gymnasiums do at the end of things. Lights coming up slightly, music cutting out mid-song, volunteers beginning to fold tables. Mark pushed the fire door open and held it. Outside, the air was 44 degrees and smelled like wet asphalt and exhaust. They stood on the concrete steps and let their eyes adjust. The parking lot was half empty. A few people moved between cars, their voices carrying in the cold. Jason asked if Mark had eaten. There was a diner on Route 20 that had been there since they were in school, the one with the neon coffee cup sign that buzzed on the right side. Mark said he remembered it. Jason said it was still open until 2. He was not asking directly, which was how Jason had always asked for things he actually needed. Mark walked to his car, a 2017 Civic, silver, parked facing out on the street side of the lot, and set the yearbook on the passenger seat. He sat in the driver's seat for a moment with the door open, the cold coming in. Through the windshield, he could see Jason standing under the parking lot light, hands in his pockets, looking at his phone. Not texting, just looking at it. The way people look at phones when they need something to do with their hands while they wait to see if someone is coming back. He got out of the car and closed the door. The yearbook stayed on the passenger seat. He crossed the parking lot toward Jason, his shoes loud on the asphalt, in the way shoes only are when most of the noise has cleared out. Jason looked up when he heard the footsteps. He put the phone in his pocket. Neither of them said anything yet. There was a diner 11 minutes away with a buzzing neon sign, and that was enough of a plan, and both of them understood that. Behind them, the gymnasium lights cut out section by section. The east wall first, then the floor, then the exit signs last, going from red to nothing. The parking lot held the silence for a moment before a car started somewhere and broke it. Mark's silver Civic sat at the curb with the yearbook on the passenger seat, its cover catching the last of the streetlight. The check was gone from the trophy case inside. 11 minutes up Route 20, a neon coffee cup buzzed and flickered on its right side, the same as it always had. Another hour, finally told.